All right, so we're going to try to do a t-test within Excel. So the first t-test we want to do is we want to suppose that it's told you that the average education that people get is exactly 12 years. So our null hypothesis can be written as this, that mu is equal to 12, and then let me rewrite this for education. So that's the null hypothesis. So we want to set up a t-statistic to measure this. So our t-statistic is equal to x bar of education minus mu of education over the standard error of x bar of education. So something like this. So we need to create this t-stat within Excel. So what we're going to need to calculate is x bar of education, the standard error of x bar of education. We don't need to calculate the mu of education because we are supposing that it's going to be 12. So how do we create x bar of education? Well, here's our education column. X bar is just the sample mean. So this is equal to the average of education. So the average is 12.56 in this sample. And we want to know, is that going to be different, statistically different than 12? So we're going to calculate the standard deviation, which is equal to, not the standard deviation, but the standard error. So this is equal to standard, so do we have error? I don't think we have error, so we're going to have to actually create this on our own. So we're first going to do standard error is equal to the variance divided by square root of n. So first we're going to have to find the variance. So the variance is equal to VAR, oops, I agree with you, I did it wrong, of the range, and therefore we get the variance of 7.667, and the standard error is equal to the variance divided by the square root, square root of n. Well, there's 526 observations, because remember the first column is data, is the labels and not actual data. So now we've calculated the standard error. So now we want to create a t-statistic. So I'm going to delete all these because we're not using those. I want to create a t-stat. And my t-stat is equal to what I have right here. X bar minus mu, which is 12, divided by the standard error. So my t-stat is equal to x bar minus 12 divided by the standard error. So my t-stat is 1.68. And recall that I want to compare that t-stat to some critical value. All right. And so the critical value we had set up previously, if we do a 5% test, is 1.96. So that's where our alpha is equal to 0.05. So set it up something like this. All right, so it's centered around the population mean, and we got a t-stat of 1.68. So that means it does not fall in a rejection region, and we failed to reject, and we say that our estimate of 12.56 is close enough or is not statistically different than the population mean of 12. Now let's suppose that rather than 12, I say that the average wage is $11.50 per hour. So now I've changed that to my null hypothesis mu of education is 1150. So what I need to do now is my mean stays the same, my standard error stays the same. All that changes is my t-stat. So this now becomes 11.50. And now I get a t-stat of 3.1782. Meaning that my new t-stat is way to the right and is within that rejection region, or is to the right of 1.96. Therefore, I reject the null and say that the sample mean is significantly different than the population mean. And that's how we do a t-test within Excel.